how y'all doing today? My name is Jonathan. Welcome to Simply Living 770. Today is all about the big black Ford. Thinks she needs a bath. So as y'all can see, I've cleaned her up a little bit. Actually, I had a subscriber ask me to do a review on my truck. My last video was of me and my buddy Scott dropping the tank on it, and someone noticed the truck and wanted me to do a review on it. I want people to be able to comment on my videos and tell me what they want to see. I definitely want everybody to feel like they can comment on it and tell me what they want to see, and me be able to deliver. Obviously, as long as it's not any kind of ridiculous. If I can physically make it happen, I will. So with that in mind, this is my 2006 F-250. It's got about 46,000 miles on it. I bought it with 199,000 on it. I felt like I got a good deal for it. I spent about 16 grand, which I felt like was a good deal for the truck. It is a Lariat, which I really enjoy, because obviously it's got all the power, everything, you know. I mean, to the point where even the pedals themselves will move up and down. It's got power seats, it's got power windows, it's got power foot pedals, it's got heated seats for the driver and passenger side. Before I had this, I had a 2008 Chevy Silverado 1500. I really like the truck. I'm not partial to Fords or Chevys or anything like that. I'm not a big fan of Dodge, but I like Fords and Chevys a lot. But the 1500 I had, it had the 5.3. It was a 2-wheel drive. It was a really nice, clean truck. It didn't have the hauling power that I needed. I really needed a diesel. The Silverado would pull my camper, which, you know, y'all have briefly seen the camper. Basically, I kind of decided I needed a diesel, and I owed about 16 grand on the Silverado when I found this, which was a great deal because I literally just switched trucks and owed the same amount of money. Granted, this had more miles. This, like I said before, it had 199,000 miles. The Silverado, I think when I traded it in, had about, I think it was approaching 70,000 miles, so it was significantly, maybe it was 75,000 miles. It was significantly less miles. But going from a 5.3 gas to a 6-liter turbo diesel, it's night and day whenever you're pulling a camper, and I really needed to do that. So far, this truck's been really good for me. Now, these trucks get a bad rep because of head gaskets. Gaskets on these things are pretty much terrible. And there's a few things you need to do to make sure that doesn't happen again, like bulletproofing it, which I have done. But as you can probably guess, the head gaskets did blow in this truck. It was unfortunate, but I took it to Ford, had them do a full bulletproof on it. So it obviously got new head gaskets. They shaved the heads down. It got a EGR delete, which, if you don't know what an EGR is, it's a exhaust gas recirculation. But basically what it does is it takes the exhaust that goes back through, that will either go through the turbo or out the tailpipe. It'll take some of that exhaust gas back through the motor and reuse it. So it's basically, it's better for the environment. It's basically what it boils down to. But it's horrible for your motor, because it's taken already used fumes that are burnt, and all that soot that's in there goes back into your motor, and it's horrible for your motor. And not to mention, all them gases are super hot, so it's really hard on the motor. But the government wants to thinks global warming is going to kill us all and kill our kids and all that stuff. But anyway, not to get political. But basically, when you delete the EGR, it puts a cap on it, so all them gases will go straight out the tailpipe, except for whatever's already lined to go through the turbo. And it's way better for your engine. It keeps your engine cooler. It keeps all the soot out of there. It keeps your engine cleaner. It's just all around better for it. So in turn, basically how you blow a head gasket is you make this motor run too hot. Anything that makes this motor run too hot is a bad thing. And these diesels are run on compression. This thing has to get up to a certain PSI in order to even run. Like these diesels don't have spark plugs. It has to run on a pressurized system. So obviously, if you have that pressure, then it's gonna run hot. But there's still a certain temperature range it's supposed to be at. So deleting the EGR helps with the cooling. Also, I put a K&N cold air intake filter on this truck, which obviously it brings in cooler air versus the stock filter. So that helps keeps the engine cooler. And during that whole process, I put a 4-inch exhaust. It's straight pipe, straight from the header, straight down. There's no mufflers, no cat, there's no nothing. And I live in Carroll County, so there's no need for any of those emissions or anything like that. So it works out really good. But it makes it for a great sound. It keeps the engine cooler because you're bringing in cooler air and you're letting out hotter air. So the more hot air you can let out, the cooler this motor will be. So that's something that really helps with it. And also shaving the heads down, it makes everything flat. You put new gaskets on it. It's a really good thing. I got a new and also part of that is getting a new oil cooler. You have to get a new oil cooler whenever you bulletproof these things, because those oil coolers will get really clogged up. All the veins that go through that oil cooler are very, very tiny, and if you have oil in there that's been hot, it can get clumped up and you have less flow. And if you have less flow, it's gonna obviously make this run really hot. So it got a brand new oil cooler. And those are some of the main mods whenever you bulletproof this truck. And if you do all that to this truck will run. This truck runs like a scalded dog. It's great. But whenever you do all that stuff to it, especially the EGR, whenever you delete the EGR, it throws a code up on the computer, and I have a check engine light on my dash. So in order to get rid of that, they have to give me a tuner, and they have to tune my truck to get rid of that code. So that the tuner they gave me is an SCT tuner. It's been a great tuner. It came preloaded with 4 tunes. There's 2 tow tunes. There's a 50 horsepower tune, a 65 horsepower tune, and then a street tune and a performance tune. I'm not exactly sure how much horsepower the street and performance give me. If I was going to guess, it'd be somewhere from 85 and 100 horsepower. If I was going to throw a number out there. But if someone knows the exact numbers, feel free to comment and let me know, because I've been curious about that for a while. I ended up having to put a brand new high pressure oil pump in it. It was giving me some problems. What I was talking about in the last video, which I realized I didn't describe too well. Basically, the truck would go down the road, but it wasn't let all the oil circulate through the system, which gave it less oil pressure, and in turn did not give the motor all of the fuel and everything it needed in order to combust right. So whenever I'd drive down the road, it'd get me down the road, but if I put any kind of heavy foot on it, it would skip and sputter, and it wouldn't do what I needed it to do. So before I knew it needed a high pressure oil pump, that's where I kind of thought maybe I had a clogged filter, so I changed all the fuel filters on it. I dropped the tank to thinking maybe I actually did put a new fuel pump in it, thinking maybe that my fuel pump was weak. I did a few things. So I mean, obviously it got a fresh fuel pump. It got brand new fuel filters, which it has 2. I did go ahead and do an oil change and all that kind of stuff, and make sure I had brand new filters for there, which the filters weren't that old. I keep the oil in this truck changed pretty regularly. I do run full synthetic in this truck because it does have 245,000 miles. I believe it's a little better for the truck, and for these diesels, when you use full synthetic, I've heard you can go about 10,000 miles on an oil change. I don't like to do that. I still like to keep it around 5, even with the full synthetic. I think this is the truck I'm planning on having for a long time, and I want to keep it healthy. And I've already put a lot of money into it as it is, and I want to keep it on the road. I ended up putting these Cooper tires on it. So far, I really like them. I had the BF all-terrain Goodrich tires on here before these, and they just did not perform very well. I really liked the way they looked, and they handled pretty good off-road. But they just didn't do what I needed them to do. That they wore down too quick. So I got these Cooper tires. These are 275/65 R20s. I really like these tires. I really like the rims on this truck, even though they are stock rims. They got, some scuffs on them. They aren't brand new. They're not super clean, but I think overall it makes the truck look really good. I might at some point get new rims. That's something that I do want to do at some point. But for now, I think they look fine. I did decide to put a CB in this truck. If y'all can tell from the antenna up top here. Basically, I decided to put a CB on this truck because I've towed my camper up to West Virginia before. My dad also has his is a 2007 F-250. It is still the 6-liter diesel, and we both towed our campers up to West Virginia a couple years ago, and we decided it would be a good idea to get CBs so we can communicate a little bit more. And I've come to find out these CBs are like really useful. They're a little bit outdated, but they're really not. I think it's a technology that people forgot about. Whenever you're driving down the road, you can get traffic updates from truckers that are going down the road. You get a lot of interesting conversation. If you're somebody who likes to listen to like any kind of talk radio or anything like that instead of music on the radio, a CB is a really good thing because it's live. It's always going on. You know, they're always talking about something. Whether it's something you need to know like traffic or if there's a wreck or anything like that, it keeps you up to date about the things around you. You know, obviously sometimes, you know, there'll be a police car 2 miles down the road and you know, there'll be a trucker to let you know. So it serves a good purpose for that. It's a really cheap CB. I think I paid like $50 for it, and it came with everything, and it's been a really good CB for me. So I've really enjoyed it. So I'll give y'all a little bit of a walk around on this truck. I try to keep the truck as clean as possible, but it's definitely seen some mud at its day. You know, it's got some imperfections, you know, in the paint. It's not a perfect truck. It's a 2006 with 250,000 miles on it. I mean, you gotta give it a little slack. This piece right here, I had it on there. I had a buddy of mine had a fooler in here, and whenever he pulled it off, the thing ripped off, which is fine. I think these plastic pieces are notorious for coming off. Ever since this thing has came off, I've seen F-250 after F-250 not have this piece on there. So I do think it is a defect from Ford. This is that 4-inch tailpipe that I was talking about earlier. It's really awesome. I don't know what this is. This piece right here has been here ever since I had the truck. I don't know if they had some kind of weird trailer lights on this truck before I bought it or what, but I keep having to tuck it back up in here. But just so y'all know, that's probably going to be in most of my cold starts, just hanging down there, because I'm not going to cut it off because I don't know what it does. Big advocate of Smith & Wesson. I have a Smith & Wesson, and I really like them. So this is a sticker I really enjoyed. Just, you know, a couple little mods I've done to it. Let's check out the interior. So here we are back in the truck. Decided to go ahead and take a little drive down the road to kind of talk about the interior. I really like this interior. Matter of fact, I was looking at some of the 2008 model F-250s, and everything was so boxy in that interior. I really didn't like it. And I am a little bit partial because father and grandfather both have 6-liter trucks, like a 2006 and 2007. My grandfather has a 2006, my dad has a 2007. So when I found this truck, I've always loved the interior in this thing. And it's got a few issues, like this steering wheel. This is something I'm planning on fixing at some point, but it doesn't really bother me. It's a truck, you know. It's supposed to be a little bit rough. So the fact that it's got a few imperfections here and there doesn't bother me. Again, it's a 2006 with 246,000 miles on it. What do you expect? I did put the scan gauge in here. I did this actually before my head gaskets blew, and I'm really glad I did this, or I might have blew up more than I was supposed to. I might have actually blown up the engine if I hadn't done that. So basically what it tells me is the top number is EOT, that's engine oil temperature, and then I have a bottom number which is ECT, which is engine coolant temperature. And these two numbers, this is supposed to run at about 190 degrees, and this is supposed to be about a 10-degree difference, and it's supposed to stay within like a 10, like not really more than 15-degree difference. But the gauge, without this, the gauge on my gauge cluster only tells me engine coolant temperature. It doesn't tell me what my oil temperature is. So if my engine coolant temperature is normal, but for some reason maybe it's not circulating or whatever, and my engine oil temperature is like 230, 250, then, you know, I'm on the verge of blowing a head gasket, which I think is pretty much what happened. When I put the scan gauge in here, it was telling me that my numbers were messed up, and that's really what made me go start getting some stuff diagnosed. I ended up taking them to Ford, and they're the ones that actually did the full bulletproof on this truck, which they did a really awesome job. They just had it for a few days. I mean, it's a lot of work. They took the whole top end of this motor apart, and they redid the whole thing. This was a different vehicle when I got it back from them. Between all the motor work they did to it was the tuner. When they did all that, I could tell the truck was good. When we gave it to me, he put it on a 65 tow tune, which basically all it does, it gave it 65 more horsepower. So obviously it was already a different truck just by doing that. But whenever I got it back from them, this was a totally different truck, and I couldn't even believe that it was like getting a new vehicle, and I really, really liked it. It was a little bit pricey, but in the long run, it's totally worth it. And this truck will run forever now. I mean, the fact that it's got a full bulletproof on it, and it was done right, it was done by Ford. It's gonna be, this truck's gonna last me. I fully plan on putting 500,000 miles on this truck. Fully intend on that. You know, there might be a few things here and there that go wrong, but like the fuel sending unit, but you know, stuff happens, and you know that has to work. Luckily, I have a good mechanic guy that can help me with stuff like that. See the mileage there? If you can tell, this airbag light that's still on there, I haven't gotten rid of it yet because it's really not a big deal, but it's really not a big deal. But basically, what I have to do is take out this whole steering column, and there's a spring down on there that's bad. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It's just not something it's not a priority for me. So all in all, this truck has been a great blessing for me. I got it cheap. It runs great. You know, especially after I bulletproofed it and did all that, this truck is a scalded dog. I try to keep it semi-clean, you know, but like I said, it's a truck. It's not supposed to be super clean. I've definitely taken this truck, done a little bit of off-roading with this truck. The full drive on this truck is, it's astonishing is what it is. This thing will pull like a scalded dog in full drive. And I'm talking full drive high. I've only put this thing in full drive low twice. And I probably only even needed to do it the one time. The one time my buddy got stuck, he basically backed his truck up into a river. And I put this thing in full drive low and yanked on him for about 20 minutes. And I literally bent the frame of his truck. He wasn't real happy, but it was either that or stay there. So this truck is super strong. But you know, I'm not really, I haven't put this truck in any kind of off-road stress in a little while. I decided I want to keep it a little nicer now. I need it to last me for a long time, and obviously the more I stick it in the mud, the more it's going to tear up. I've had my fun doing all that kind of stuff, and I've definitely learned lessons over time. I've tore up almost every vehicle I've ever put in the mud, and so far this truck has hung on. And full drive related and any kind of off-roading related, this truck has never had an issue, ever. I've never blown a tire. I've never blown a seal in the transmission in this truck. I've never done anything that was stress related due to off-roading. So that's a great thing. This is the SCT tuner that they gave me. This is like their new and improved tuner. It's really good. If y'all decide y'all want a review on that, then let me know. Maybe that's something I can do for y'all in the future. But this has been a really good tuner for me. You know, like I said, it came preloaded with 4 different tunes on it. This truck tows so well with these tunes in here. The trailer I have, it's not a super heavy trailer. I think the dry weight on the trailer is like 4,900 pounds or something, or maybe I can't remember if it's 49 or 59. I think the dry weight on the trailer is like 5,900 pounds. I probably get another 1,000 pounds worth of stuff in it, especially if, you know, if it's got the any kind of tanks in it, you know, that are full, any of my water tanks that are full. But this truck pulls it like it's nothing. You know, it barely even feels anything back there. Especially once I put these tunes in it. So if y'all decide you want a review on that at some point, then let me know. Just give me some feedback and let me know what you would like. Well, if y'all would let me know if you like this video. I don't intend on this channel being a truck channel or any kind of vehicle specifically channel. But, you know, this truck is a big part of my life. I'm in this truck every day. This truck is incorporated into my life for everyday use. So I'm sure this truck will be in a lot of my videos. But I don't intend for this channel to be purely on vehicles or purely on this truck. If y'all have anything that y'all would like for me to shoot, if y'all have any ideas for me, please comment. I will read it and I will respond. If y'all like this video, please subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next video.